Hello everyone and welcome to the last second round video for our March Madness Nintendudez edition bracket. We have two fun matchups. I'm not going to talk about this one. I'm going to let Nick and Travis do it because they're more passionate about these. Our first matchup is... yeah, fair point. But I mean it this time. Our first matchup is Super Mario Maker and Halo 3 Super Mario Maker. Recently came out on the Wii U. There's a new one coming out on the Switch now too, and a 3DS. It's a classic... Well, it's not classic, but it's based off classic Mario. And you can literally do anything. You can make your own levels and explore crap and godlike levels. And so it's a lot of fun. Halo 3, need I say more? Oh, that was my attempt. Amazing soundtrack, amazing gameplay. That's a lot better. Pretty much spearheads and is number one on the list of multiplayer in terms of couch co-op for FPS games. It's hard to beat, and it really broke through online gameplay. Weird comparison, but it'll be fun. Take it away, boys.
The one thing that I was mentioning before we started this conversation was the customization options that are in both of these games. Halo 3, I believe this is the first one that actually allows you to make your own maps. Fact check me on that. But that is one of the biggest things that I would say. Like, it's first of all, that's a huge thing for first-person shooter games. Basically designing, I believe you designing like your own map spawn or like weapon spawns. Again, Travis, fact check. Or
there is a forge thing, and then you can delete everything that's on that original map that you are creating, and then you can kind of forge it. So what me and my friends always like to do is Scooter really likes to play a thing called Mongoose Season, where it's just a sniper tower, and then you have to drive a mongoose in a giant circle to finally go off a ramp that will teleport you to be able to kill the sniper. And then the sniper's goal is obviously to kill you before you can actually reach the end.
But that's one of the things that's great about Halo 3 is the fact that no matter what you want to do, it's the exact same thing, which I'm sure we're going to be talking about later on. It's the same thing with Smash Bros. The fact that you're able to customize that actual game to do whatever you freaking want to, and almost, like, I would say the customization options are almost endless.
Oh yeah,
like,
no, it is because you can.
Yeah,
because like with this Mongoose Season that I'm talking about, you can even customize game rules to like adjust what you can also do, because we have also played a crap ton of other game modes that we just downloaded from like a hub, because some people just like created it and were like, wow, that'd be really fun. And then we had to have a LAN party of 16 people with a whole bunch of Xboxes, wires everywhere, TVs everywhere, and it was just great because you can just trash talk all of your friends in the same room, but playing online and murdering each other, and it's great.
Yeah, and the fact that you don't have to do like the capture the flag or the deathmatch that you would usually have in those shooter games, and you can basically be able to create your own. And that's one of the greatest things about it. And one of the things that I think is hidden in almost every game that is considered a great game is the fact of is it has to have some element of customization. It has to have some element of making your playthrough unique to you, or the multiplayer unique to what you want to do. So this is going to be a really weird example, but when I was a kid growing up, I had Star Fox Assault for the GameCube, and me and a friend would do the multiplayer, my friend Josh from back home, and all we would do is we'd try to find the most OP guns, jetpacks, and just try to hunt down all of the like the R-Wings and the Landmasters that spawn and just destroy them all. Whatever you do in the game, like, it might be not the intended purpose, but being able to customize what you want to do in the game to have endless possibilities is huge for it. And Halo 3 and Mario Maker both touch on that subject in such a great way. Whether I know I would say Mario Maker has more options, but because I think Mario Maker is a simpler game, I think that's why it's like that. But Halo 3 being able to do that in a first-person shooter that had such critical reception with great story, with great music, that does stand out. Again, I was way biased when it came to Mario Odyssey, but I can't ignore it for this matchup. The customization options in Halo 3, oh my god, they're fantastic.
Well, they're great, and then it's also, like, that's just talking about multiplayer. Like, the single campaign is still amazing. It's probably my favorite among all of the different Halo campaigns that I've played. I've played 1, 2, 3, 4, unfortunately. Have not played 5 yet, because 4 just made me so butthurt. But like, Halo 3 just has such a well-rounded package because it has all of that customability. But with that customability, you can actually know what you're getting yourself into. Like, you know exactly what rule set you're making. You can, like, despawn vehicles if you find that it's annoying, because if you are playing with just 4 people, whoever finds the freaking ghost gets 1,000 kills right away, because unless you team up, it's just so hard to actually kill it. But, like, you can just despawn vehicles, and then it's just, you know, normal matchmaking. And then Halo 3 did have online, which it wasn't great yet because it was just still kind of like being new. Halo Reach.
Was it Xbox 360 Halo 3 had?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, 360.
Okay. I'm just making sure it wasn't the original Xbox.
Yeah. Original Xbox was 1 and 2, and then 3 was on the 360 with Reach. So Reach definitely improved on the online factor, and then Halo 4, though I hate to admit it, is actually a really good online. Or is 4? I know 5 is a really good online experience, but they've added so many new things I don't really play it.
Shit campaign though.
It just has so much, whereas like I've been watching a lot of Super Mario Maker videos from Ryu Car lately.
Mike,
thank you for that one.
Every single time I log onto the channel.
I watch him all the time now.
Yep. So I saw that was a thing, so I looked him up and I've watched so much of it. As much as like customability that it has when you're creating a level, when you do the 100 Mario challenge, you don't really know what levels you're going to get. You might get one that's actually a really well-made level. It feels like an actual Mario level, or it's super challenging. And then there's others that's just troll levels, and it's just annoying because you just have to sacrifice lives and hope that you pick right. And it's just.
So I guess we can.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I guess we can go back into Super Mario Maker. Like we mentioned before, some of the greatest things that are in there and are levels that you never would have expected, but the fact that music levels are a thing where they literally...
Those are amazing.
I love the music levels so much, but the fact that they're literally able to recreate like Metroid Prime music and Undertale music and Sonic music and whatever it is, but they literally take so much time just to create that, just to make sure that the notes sound just about right. There's no way they're going to get it perfect, but... that's so much creativity that people are showing. The game is not about, it kind of like goes beyond what a game is, where you do have the game where it's like you can make your own levels and you can play other people's levels, which is what the game's supposed to do, but it does even more than that because the only limit in Mario Maker is your imagination. I think that they did like a Fermi's problem for how many levels are available in Mario Maker, and it's almost like uncountable about what the options are in Mario Maker. And we're still seeing amazingly creative levels like as this goes along, where before, it was only specific to like a Kaizo game, or you would have to have like a ROM hack to do so. And Mario Maker just gives you all the tools to do it yourself. And the reason I'm comparing the customization options between these games, I think, is because you can't really compare it, because I mean it's a platformer versus a shooter otherwise. Mm-hmm. But in terms of
and then there's
what both
not
these
a single
games did,
campaign in
there's not really
Mario,
campaign
so
in Mario
you can't
Maker.
really compare that either.
Yeah, honestly. But what these games both set out to do, they nailed amazingly.
Yeah.
So that's one of the... I mean, obviously that's why we're talking about them, but I mean, I will say this, but like, you can't match some of the creativity that you can get when you give people the tools to create your own game modes. Yeah. You can have your default ones that a lot of people like, and yeah, competitive can be what it is, but that's one of the reasons why Smash Bros is so special, and it breaks away from the traditional like 2D 1v1 fighter, is because once you give them the tools to be able to kind of create your own game, the only limit is the player's imagination, and that's why these two games are just fantastic.
Well, one thing I do want to say too, and I have a question for Mario Maker. Do you think this game has transcended all the laws of video games because of the fact that if you get a really shitty troll level that's so boring to play that if it was in a real Mario game we would hate it, but we love it. We love playing these troll levels and we love watching people do it. Do you think this game's greatest strength is that even the awful levels are fun to play? So there's really no bad levels, because even the bad levels are fun.
You kind of answered your own question, but yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think like this game is impossible to be bad because even the bad levels are fun. So like, what can we even insult about Mario Maker if even the bad stuff is good? Like, what could this game do more besides?
I wouldn't say that I have fun playing troll levels, but I definitely enjoy watching people deal with troll levels.
But it's like the same thing. Like, me and Travis have streamed Mario Maker a couple times. Like, there's literally one level where it just wrapped around the entire freaking time, and at the very, very end, it gives you 4 doors of the options, and 3 of the doors kill you.
Oh my god! Just like, and we told so many more jokes.
Do we really want to wait another 4 minutes to try another door? And Travis like, no, I'm going to do it. And we guessed all 3 of the wrong doors.
And then on the 4th attempt, I didn't make the jump. It was great.
Yeah, but that's one of the great things about Mario Maker as well, because in the same vein, you can also create puzzle levels where people literally try to find unique ways to, like, once you reset the room is going to appear different with certain things unlocked, with me hiding this behind this block, and that's also just amazing. And that's one of the reasons why
I was gonna say, even if it really pisses you off, you can just skip it too. You don't have to play any of these levels. So even if it really bothered you, you could have just skipped over it, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, but I love Mario Maker streams for that reason. Like I used to watch. I can't remember what the guy's name is. I think it's like Envy something. But I used to watch this guy just because he kept doing the super expert levels because he was just so damn good at them. You can watch that game. There's a reason it was so popular on Twitch. You can watch that game for so many different reasons, and every single time you're going to be entertained. Even if you join a stream of like 1 or 2 people and you're like, I want you to play my level, they'll play your level and they'll. Like,
I also watched Ryukar do one where he would play through an easy level, and then right before getting to the finish line, he would put a blindfold on and restart the level and see if he could actually finish it without even being able to see where jumps were. It was actually really entertaining.
Yeah.
So like even the easier levels that are like automatic or whatnot can be changed to
and even
have
auto
some sort
Mario
of
levels. Do we want to? I know we can kind of like give a lot of what we usually compare it to, like music, like story wise and whatnot.
It's just impossible with these.
I know we can just give them to Halo 3 most of the time, but I mean, the best way I still think is to compare them is customization. And customization, they're just both so good.
What about if we compare, and I'll let you two talk about this before we get into voting, which one has the longer amounts of, like, fun to where before the game gets boring? Halo's multiplayer or the levels in Mario Maker? Which one has more longevity?
That's actually a really good metric.
I mean, I'm also probably biased, but I feel like for me, it's Halo 3. I can play longer. Because does 360 tell you how well, actually this is probably like my 3rd or 4th 360 because we burn them out so fast because we played Halo 3 so much.
Also, Halo 3, the 360 wasn't the best hardware though.
It was not the best hardware.
Like, it had a lot of problems compared to
I know.
other consoles around the time.
People who were the Xbox people saying, oh, the Switch has like a scratch on the screen, what a horrible, they can suck it. The 360 was the worst system when it first came out, but I still have one, whatever. But like Super Mario Maker, even when we were streaming not too long ago when I was visiting you, like I was playing some of the levels and then like I was getting frustrated myself because it was either a jump that I know I could make or it was like having to do a shell jump and I'm like, I just can't. So I would get frustrated and then like I wanted to stop, whereas Halo 3... you already know, like, you're going to have a weapon and your goal is to kill somebody who's either on the other team or it's a free-for-all, whatever. So
that's what I want to point out. Like, for me personally, the reason I think Mario Maker doesn't get as stale is to get from point A to point B, you can do it in so many different ways. You can have a different change of setting with going down a warp pipe, have the ships that rock up and down. You can get from point A to point B with a completely different journey in between, and it can not seem old. But Halo 3, you're still trying to kill the other person in whatever way possible. Yeah, you can use different weapons to get there, but I mean, getting just the simplest concept can be done in billions of different ways in Mario Maker, but I don't think the first-person shooter genre has that possibility because you will always be limited on weapons or vehicles or whatever you have.
But going back to the customization thing, like you can just make a racing stage if you wanted to, you know, like
that's basically what Mongoose Season was. Because not only were like the sniper trying to kill them, you still had to beat the other people so you could actually grab the one sniper that you can use to kill the sniper before the other people that you're with. So you can sometimes even kill each other because you literally make them spin off the track and you just fall to your death. Because if I had because I don't like search specific Super Mario Maker levels too frequently because usually it's...
How about, can we talk about the UI just really, really fast then?
Sure.
Because Mario Maker UI is garbage.
Yeah.
Trying to look up levels, can't
yeah, because
save
the code was awful. I wish you could like just do it by name. It would be so much easier. And then
that would be so much easier.
Was a 16-digit number code was. It gets tedious.
I don't know why they thought that was a good idea.
The 6th or the 5th through 8th one are all zeros anyway.
Well, should we want to vote? We're getting along on this.
Okay.
Sorry. Do you have any finishing thoughts, Travis?
I was just more thinking of way like I feel like I could enjoy Super Mario Maker more was especially if Nintendo had its own special account and like it made Mario like levels that like they could like say as like expert hard, you know, whatever. So that way I know that's still a Mario-esque type level versus like accidentally stumbling upon trolls or like Kaizo levels where it's just a bunch of Kaizo blocks, or like really specific tech like shell midairs, because like I can't do those. But
yeah,
if I go like on easier difficulty, then it just becomes super easy. So it's, I don't know.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm gonna vote, I'll go first. Super Mario Maker, and basically something that we didn't even talk about is it basically was the defining game for the Wii U. I'm very curious to see how it's going to work on Switch, but I barely even consider Mario Maker for 3DS a thing, even though I love the 3DS. But Mario Maker for the Wii U, it basically is the Wii U. That is the game that was meant for the Wii U. Like we talk about how like for people say Super Mario 64, like the controller was made for the N64 was made for Super Mario 64. Like the gamepad was made for Mario Maker. Probably wasn't intentional, but it was like that. Like there's so much that's kind of just like a match made in heaven with Mario Maker. It just makes it kind of disappointing that it was on a subpar console, which even though it's not like that, I give credit to a lot of what Halo 3 did. I think Mario Maker is just so much better and so much more than what they ever intended the game to be.
Travis, you want to go? Because yours is pretty
your
obvious,
very last statement is why I want to say Halo 3 is my vote, because Super Mario Maker, like, obviously they were going for, like, hey, let the creator, like, the people create their levels and they'll enjoy it how they want, but it became such, like, a staple for it that they weren't necessarily intentionally doing, whereas Halo 3, they put all of, like, everything that worked in previous games and still improved on other things like the custom ability, that like everything they did was intentional and it made it that much better in the series. So for me, I think Halo 3 gets it because plus it's just more consistent of like, I know like if I am only by myself, I know that I can enjoy like the campaign. But when I'm with like all of my friends, then we can have Halo tournaments and we can even decide what kind of game modes we want to get into. Whereas in Super Mario Maker, I might come across some levels that I really, really enjoy, but then I'll also come across just absolute, or as Rio likes to say, hot piles of garbage. And,
so more consistency, like it doesn't matter for the high highs, but it has really low lows.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll do my vote. I'll try to keep it brief. The big thing that stood out to me is when Nick said Mario Maker made the Wii U, which is not saying a lot because the Wii U is not great. Halo 3 is the Xbox 360. Like, the Xbox 360 has a lot of good games, but Halo 3 is the defining one. And to be the defining one on such a classic console, to have so much customization, to be an FPS where you could get bored of shooting and still have fun with like the racing and other aspects of the game, I don't know. Halo 3 seems hard to beat. It's funny, I made my own bracket. Like, I did this on my own, and Super Mario Maker actually ended up winning the whole thing for me. I forgot how, but I think I need to vote for Halo 3 just because the good points were made. It had so much more to offer than just a typical shooter. So I'm going to vote Halo 3.
All right.
Yeah, so Halo 3 is going to move on.
Yeah, one of my top 5s are still in.
Yeah, this last one is interesting. I'm not even going to really introduce it much because Nick is much better for that. 2 classic party fighting games. This is a great grand finale, by the way. Much like the Zelda argument will be in the next one, we're arguing 2 games from the same series. The recent edition, Smash Ultimate, and a lot of people's favorite classic one, Smash Bros. Melee. Both had a lot of great ups. They're both legendary fighting games. They're also great party games for both casual and competitive players. This franchise universally loved, so this is going to be tough. I know it's going to break Nick's heart. I'll let him take this away.
I'll be honest. I thought so too, but I'm sort of leaning one way, and I hope I don't. I hope you guys say something that sways me otherwise. But here's how I'm kind of approaching this. The most baseline that you can think of with a fighting game when you're comparing it is how many characters it has, the amount of stages and whatnot. And obviously, Melee being the second iteration of Smash Bros. Versus Ultimate being the fifth.
And
Ultimate is going to have way more characters. It's going to have way more music. It's going to have way more every single thing that you can imagine to make it better.
One thing I do want to ask, though, which game outside of the main versus and competitive experience do you think had more outside? Like, which do you think had the better extra stuff? Because they're both great fighters, they're both fun to play with friends, but which one delivered a better single-player experience?
You see, that's the thing.
For me, Melee definitely has a better
for me it's Melee, too. I loved All-Star and Classic.
Yeah, because World of Light I greatly enjoyed at first, but once you collect enough things, first of all of those battles start to feel the same, and you just become so overpowered. And I know I could like turn off some of the perks or whatever to make it more challenging, but like by the end of it, I was just powering through it just so I could get the challenge of beating it. Whereas adventure mode, I played the crap out of just because it was fun.
So here's the thing. World of Light is a broken mode, and here's why. In terms of the actual boss design in that game, it was actually done very, very well. But you would never notice it unless you played it without spirits. So if you this is one of the reasons why this is actually harder for me, because it's an easy. You would easily think, oh, Melee got the adventure mode, it's got classic mode, all-star, and it approached more. Yeah, it's easy. But World of Light, you need to give it credit for having better designed boss fights than you would imagine. I agree with Travis on almost every point that he's made in terms of you can get overpowered. The boss fights can seem tedious. All the spirits fights can basically seem the same, where it just becomes a chore.
Oh no, I love the boss fights because those were super creative.
But the thing with the boss fights, unless you play them without spirits, like the boss fights actually teach you about recognizing certain timings, and it actually teaches you about what you need to do to be good at a fighting game based on reactions to a move that's coming up, learning throughout the fight, even at high percent, being able to play more defensively while you're facing these players based on what your weaknesses are, based on the actual boss. Like a big example is that weird penguin guy that's in all the armor. Like you can tell with certain startups of his move that you need to either counter it, you need to jump, you need to duck, you need to spot dodge. It does teach the actual fundamentals of what you need to learn in a fighting game way more than just messing around with your friends and throwing items back and forth. And that's something that I don't think Melee ever did. You had CPUs that, again, the AI wasn't developed enough to actually teach you how to play the game well. So if you have people who only played Melee for like facing computers, it's gonna be a lot more broken than facing the computers in Ultimate. Like the CPU in Ultimate is actually fairly good, where they're not focused on frame perfect reactions like in Smash 4. Like if you faced a Smash 4 level 9 computer, you only have to frame trap the computer and you will win every single time. The Smash Bros Ultimate AI doesn't do that. They go for more reads, they'll go for more risky options, and they make you learn the game in a different situation. And if you're talking about teaching the game, Ultimate wins in so many ways. And in a single player campaign, yeah, Melee has the better condensed version of that because World of Light was padded to death, but you got to give it credit for the boss fights and how it actually goes out of its way. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but it goes out of its way to actually teach you about what you need to do to be better at the game. But you only notice that if you don't spam with spirits, and that's the thing that kind of sucks. Okay, so you have to play the mode that's not the way it's not intended to do so to actually get that realization.
I have a question that I think only you might be able to answer, but okay. I guess we can interject. 15 years down the road, there's a Smash tournament on my local place. Obviously, both these games by then will be older. Which one do you think will be played more down the road? Melee, or do you think Ultimate will fade away like Smash 4 did? And do you think Melee will mainstay, or do you think Ultimate's going to kind of take over Melee as like the Smash Bros that everyone plays?
You see, that's the weird thing about it, because in terms of the history of the Smash Bros community, Melee always comes out of nowhere to make a resurgence. Like, there's a time where people try to go for Brawl. Like, there's, I think, sometimes where Smash 4 would come surging back. The thing is, as I hate to give you this answer, I seriously don't know. It's too sporadic for me to tell, because that's Melee fair. Is one of those games that's timeless and that tons of people will always play, even though that most of the time you're going to be seeing a lot of the same matchups. But Ultimate is the closest that we've ever gotten to a game that might be able to outlast Melee. And I seriously believe that, because Ultimate has way more to appeal to both audiences, and again, brings in more mechanics than Smash 4 did. Smash 4 had a couple of things that were really stupid. It lowered the skill ceiling in a way. It definitely raised it from Brawl, but it still lowered the skill ceiling in a way where it wouldn't reward the better player all the times. So it basically adds RNG, it adds luck into the game, because it's not always going on what would be consistent skill. So in terms of a competitive game, Ultimate put back in more of those mechanics that would reward more skill-based players, where like, for example, in Smash 4, you could roll forever and you're never going to get punished. But in Ultimate, if you roll a couple of times in a row, it's going to get slower, it's going to get weaker, and you're going to lose more invulnerability frames as you roll, basically telling you stop spamming. So Ultimate does a better job of teaching you mechanics than Melee ever did, but Melee was the first game to basically... It was an accident, but Melee was the first game to say, hey, this is what Smash Bros. Can be. And I think that Ultimate is the closest it's ever going to get to a modern audience of what it could actually reach for its potential. This is why it's weird to me. Sorry, go ahead and ask.
Well, I was just going to ask kind of as a bridge. So do you think then it's fair to say that for a competitive audience, Melee might be the better, and for a casual audience, Ultimate might be the better option?
You would think that, but I don't want to say it.
Okay.
I don't think it's black and white. I seriously.
No, it's definitely not. But in general,
because that's what they tried to say about for Smash 4 and whatnot. And for people who don't know me, I think Melee is the greatest fighting game ever made. It doesn't mean it's the best game, which is what this bracket is. But the reason I say that is because you can't really tell. Melee, there's a very easy way to tell if people haven't played. And it's the same thing with Melee and Ultimate. You can there's very distinct ways where if I see a person do certain moves, I know they probably have not played this game before, and it'll be an easy win. But there's higher level techniques that you can mix up where it's like, okay, this person can actually compete at a higher level based on what they're doing. The difference is with these fighting games, it becomes more obvious as you go along. With that big of a cast, you can never create a perfectly balanced fighting game. So I don't think that's anything that you can ever hold against a fighting game, is that it's not balanced. Because Melee and Ultimate are both the exact same way. They both had a much larger cast than what their previous installment was. Well, Ultimate not as much, but a lot larger of a cast, so you cannot expect it to be balanced.
I mean, it's just true with any fighter, though. Like, you'll always be characters that have a better kit, so they're just gonna.
Street Fighter V is the worst of it too. Street Fighter V literally is like whoever Capcom likes at the moment because they want to get character diversity, and that's the wrong way to go about it. But so here's the metric that I want to kind of look at these games on, in terms of how it stands. Again, the single player and multiplayer experiences, but I always try to think of it as how much better of a sequel it was from the game before it. From Smash 64 to Melee, there was a huge amount of improvement, even though it was done in a very short amount of time. Like, it's still, and one of the things that I still fault the later Smash Bros. Games on is it does not have break the targets. And I don't know why, but it really pisses me off that it does not have that mode in it.
Yeah,
but
I was really sad.
I always gauge it on what's a better sequel, because I want to see like how much of an improvement that it was on the other game. And it's kind of weird to say it, but the fact that Ultimate was such a better sequel to Smash 4 because Smash 4 was just that much worse, it's kind of weird, but I'm starting to lean towards Ultimate for that reason.
I'm the opposite. Like when I was kind of disappointed in Ultimate because of World of Light. I was expecting this awesome story mode, and it kind of disappointed. So I don't know. I'm kind of leaning. I'm the opposite. I think the argument you've been making has me leaning toward Melee now. I came in thinking Ultimate, but you've kind of convinced me in Melee in a way. So I don't know.
Well, here's what I'm thinking as well. In terms of Melee, I would say that it was before Smash Bros. Got this reputation of trying to be the greatest collection of video game characters ever made. Melee was still at the time when Nintendo was just like, hey, check out our other franchises. They got some cool dudes, you know what I'm saying? But that was still around the time of Melee and with the GameCube. But the fact that Melee is still on dead hardware and is getting harder and harder to run at tournaments and people don't want to go through the hassle of doing so just makes me worried about the longevity of the game. And Ultimate can, if you look at Ultimate, it's just gorgeous. It can stand the test of time better than Melee can. And as much as I love Melee, I think that just as time progresses, and again, people say this about like every Smash Bros. Games that comes along, but I truly believe it about Ultimate. I think Ultimate is one of the games that can outlast Melee.
Okay, I have one last question for Travis.
Okay.
And then maybe we can get to voting. As a casual gamer that has no desire to go to tournaments and learn the tech, if I said I'm coming over and I want to play Smash, would you pop in Melee or would you pop in Ultimate?
I would definitely be popping...
Pop in Brawl.
You're wrong. No. Because even as a casual gamer, the whole tripping mechanic was stupid.
Yep, agreed.
I would definitely be putting in Ultimate because it just, like what Nick was saying, has such a wide range of characters that... Because as much as I love Melee, I mean, plus I've also just kind of... I don't know. Melee is one of those that I played the crap out of, and like I still played it over Brawl a lot, and like I would occasionally play it while Smash 4 was in its, heyday. But like whenever I hang out with my friends now, we either play Mario Tennis or we play Ultimate, just because like it still has all the other characters that we want it to, and for the most part, like Ganondorf drastically improved in this game. Or at least I think so.
Ganon's fun to watch.
Yeah, he's fun. Whereas he was just an echo of Falcon for a while, like a long time. So now that he actually feels like a unique character, that's always fun. And then like you're just able to recognize that like a lower tier can still beat a higher tier in Ultimate more than a low tier in Melee versus a high tier in Melee. I don't necessarily know if it's just because I played so much of Melee that like I know how to abuse certain people just because I've know what has pissed me off about the people, and then just I kind of know matchups better because obviously when there's such a smaller cast, I know what works on certain characters more than the 70 plus characters. Like there's still things that we're learning of the new one, but I personally like the Ultimate for casual play because it offers the most, especially because I can also turn the smash meter on, which adds to the whole casual thing because, you know, everyone gets their big ult. It's fun. It becomes chaotic because basically once one person gets an ult, everyone gets an ult, and then it's just terrifying to be next to people. Because like Melee didn't even have the smash ball thing at all, but I always got pissed off playing Brawl and 4 with that item on because it was like sometimes I would hit it 1,000 times and didn't bust, and then one person would shoot one fox laser at it and break it, and now he has the freaking just pissed me off. But like with the meter, you can choose to use it right away if you want to, or you can try and risk it, try to get the health up more, and then use it to actually get a KO versus just doing damage. There's a couple more strategies to it. But, and then there's just also slightly more customability of, like, what you can do, like, especially with the stage morphing and also having stage hazards off or on, depending on what you want to be doing.
Okay.
Yeah. How about this? If we want to just skip forward to the voting part, I have a good defense for mine. I hate to say it, and I know Mike already knows where I'm going with this, because I do think Melee is the better fighting game, at least to watch and to play. But me personally, I have to vote for Ultimate for a couple of reasons. One, Melee's broken. The reason I love Melee is not the intended reason that Melee is the greatest fighting game in my mind. Like, wave dashing is a glitch. L canceling, I think, actually was intentional. But the fact that there's only like 6 competitive stages, if you're going to win a tournament, and unless you're one of the top 3 players in the game, basically, you have to use one of 4 characters. The meta is so established. Like, I love Melee. Like, there's not a game that I can say that I've fallen in love with more, and I still think it's the greatest fighting game I've ever made. Ultimate's just better. Like, the single player campaign aside, like, I will concede to Melee saying it has a better adventure mode and whatnot. I think it's more innovative. I think it's more creative. Melee's just a broken game, and Ultimate is better made. Better AI, more stages, more customization options, and which will come with being a later game. But the fact that it does all of that so well, and the fact that it still allows the player to learn against like an AI that's not just freaking frame perfect and whatnot, all of those things combined leads Ultimate to just be a better game overall. And I hate to say it because I love Melee so much, but the reason I love Melee is not because it's a better made game. The reason I love Melee is because it's a fantastic fighting game to watch and play. It's not because it's a better made game. Ultimate is the better game.
So I'll vote second.
Okay.
I agree with everything you said. I love Ultimate, but I'm going to vote for Melee, and I think the main reason is because of all the extra stuff. So I get bored of fighting games kind of quickly unless they have some sort of story, they have something else to envelop me. I feel like Melee had more that kept me engaged than Ultimate has had so far. I love doing the adventure mode. I did it countless times as a kid, and I still like going back to it. The events, we didn't even really talk much about the events, but I love the event mode in it and all the different types of gameplay there is with that. I feel like Melee had a lot of little things like that I wish Ultimate did better. And Ultimate had a little bit of that, but it didn't present itself in a way that made it withstanding
like,
to me. The
spirit fights for me kind of compared to the events because that's basically what they were. But
it was not as fun to me.
Well, yeah, because you could either make yourself stupid broken or you can like make it impossible for yourself.
Right. And so that's the ironic thing is I'm probably going to play more Ultimate moving forward because of the cast, and I love Joker, so when he's in there, that's all I'm going to be doing for a while. But I don't know. To me, Melee just had more that kept me engaged. I think Ultimate is great for the core, but you know, the core for fighting, and it's not Smash's fault. No fighting game keeps me engaged for a long time. It's just how I am. It's the extra stuff, and I think Melee wins the extra stuff. It was a great game. It did a lot for it, and that's why I got to vote Melee.
Oh boy, so I'm a tiebreaker yet again. Okay, so my vote is going to be going to Ultimate. But I actually have like a completely different view of like, I am so sick of watching Melee tournaments because it is only the same 4 people. It's literally Hungry Box's Jigglypuff, and he's actually able to kill foxes, and then it's just 1,000 foxes doing fox things. Like, I wish, like, I totally understand why that is the way it is, because if you're not, you're just going to get wrecked by the fox doing fox things. But, and like, I also like one of the busted people, like, Sheik is my favorite. I will use Sheik forever, because Melee Sheik is my favorite Smash Bros. Character ever.
Grab the character.
Huh?
It's a boost grabbing. That's her best thing. Sorry, go on.
Well, I don't abuse the boost grabbing, but, you know, I just enjoy playing Sheik. But, Ultimate for me, I just can do so much more casual gameplay with it just because of the huge variety of cast and then so many maps. Like, I usually avoid most of the ones that are runoffs because frickin' Robbie will just stand at the frickin' edge and throw me off and just kills me at 2%, and I just hate it.
That's how you can cheese a lot of World of Light fights, too.
Oh, I know. I totally did it as Lucas so many times. Mm-hmm. But overall, that is always, like, one of... Like, I even play with frickin' CJ's fiance. Like, she is now a gamer with us, and we're playing 5-man Smash or 4-man Smash, because Robbie usually isn't here since he lives further away.
We got too hung up on the fact of it, like, on, like, tournaments and whatnot. We didn't even talk about how many people could just enjoy it by sitting down with friends.
Oh, yeah, like, Curse...
We gotta mention that in the next
because, like, his fiance took my Wii U just so she can practice Smash Bros., so she can compete with us a little better, and she's definitely improved. But, like you were saying, the AI isn't exactly great in, 4, so she's not necessarily practicing her best. But she's still at least working on, like, mechanics, because she really struggled with, like, just getting back to stage by using up B and stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, overall, if I showed her Melee, she would probably just be even more confused about it, whereas, like, Ultimate, she's able to still keep up with us as long as she's using her, she likes to use Corrin. It's a
completely different meta.
Yeah.
It's a completely different meta.
And since I'm more casually playing, but even, like, on the competitive side, I enjoy watching different matchups more than watching the same matchups. And the meta hasn't quite fixated yet, especially since it's also being updated, so it also shifts. But
yep.
I just like watching the variety in competitive play, because to me that's harder than just, okay, I'm going to work on my Fox, I'm going to work on my Ice Climbers, I'm going to get the, you know, Wombo combo, and now I'm going to be able to be, like, tournament ready, as long as you also obviously have those other mechanics like battle canceling and stuff, which I don't, so I would die.
Well, L canceling isn't enough, man.
And I've also highly enjoyed the what is it, Strikeout? Is that what the mode is called?
Squad Strike.
Squad Strike. Watching that competitively has been really fun, because you get to see the people obviously have their mains and then their secondaries, but then there's also, like, their tertiaries that they rarely actually bust out. Half the time they're, you know, similar, like, characters, but it's still fun to see them kind of branch out from what you're used to them seeing. So
I'm telling you, if you're liking that, Travis, you just got to go to a tournament and play friendlies with them. Then it's more fun just to play them, and then instead of just watching them, honestly.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I think that's enough for us talking about it.